Well, let's continue to give you more rolling coverage of reaction. I'm joined by the UDM's Nqabayomzi. Kwankwa, thank you for your time. Reaction to the minister's speech?
Well, for us, it felt like a poorly made, homemade chakalaka. It's all over the tin, lacking focus, but it's supposed to be spicy. It's not for us. It was extremely cold in the sense that the minister did not outline a clear plan. He was supposed to give us forward guidance as to how he intends to deal, for example, with issues of economic growth and how he intends to reignite growth in the next budget, because it's a mini budget. I'm not sure about you, but I didn't find any of that in the budget today. The second issue which concerns us all the time, when we talk about bailing out SOEs, we do not address the underlying root causes of the problems in SOEs. Even if you were to talk about Eskom, I say, for instance, insofar as Eskom is concerned, of the 560 billion rand of government guarantees that we've doled out to SOEs, Eskom accounts for more than 70% of that. And yet, with all those assistances that we've given to Eskom, help, they have not managed to turn around the entity, which means the problem, there are far-reaching problems and deeper-seated problems that need to be addressed at Eskom. The second issue is, if you break up Eskom into, say, 3 entities, Eskom has been able to go to the markets and ask for finance on the basis of a strength of a consolidated budget, balance sheet rather. Once you break it up into 3 entities, you weaken the balance sheet. It's going to be difficult for them to be able to source funding because some of the entities will have a very weak balance sheet, which will actually reflect on their sustainability going forward. But the other issue is we keep talking about addressing corruption and being tough on corruption, and yet all the politicians who are responsible with it are still, some of them are still sitting here in Parliament, and some of us address us willy-nilly during press conferences and say a lot of things that don't make sense or do not take accountability for their actions.
I want to find out what your views are in terms of the budget for education. He mentioned for health and security, given the high levels of crime in this country, and those are of course issues that are affecting the ordinary South African.
Well, the problem with them is that they keep on throwing money at the problem. It's like with SOEs, whether you're talking about the education system, the underlying problems and the weaknesses, the current weaknesses in the education system of our country. They keep on saying they're doling out funding, but they're not able to provide the necessary materials and the equipment that our kids need to be able to be efficient and proficient when they study. But the other thing when it comes to the security cluster is that it is too disjointed. It works in silos in order for it to be able to nip crime, especially violent crime in the country in the bud. There has not been a concrete and a coordinated plan which seems to address the crime problem in the country, including how we manage our porous borders in the country, for example, and how we account for people who are in South Africa. It does not happen well. But I also want to cite one problem. I think what they are trying to do by moving some of the debt of Eskom over to the country's balance sheet is the fact that we made a mistake back in the days. Imagine if you had said when we wanted to procure arms and we said no, that must be on the balance sheet of the Department of Defense instead of the country taking over that expenditure. That's what should have happened right at the beginning to actually improve the financial position of Eskom, but also make sure that the taxpayer and South Africans take over that project and manage it on behalf of Eskom.
Thank you so much for your time. The UDM giving us reaction to the minister's speech. I can see my colleague Xolani is standing by with the SARS Commissioner. Xolani, get into conversation as we continue to find more MPs to speak to.